All right, World Wide Web, another super amazing edition of Sports and Tacos coming at you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen in TV land, YouTube, Sports and Tacos, Mondays, Thursdays, and Sunday Fun Day. Come join us, YouTube, Sports and Tacos.
Another super amazing edition of Sports and Tacos coming at you. I'm your host, Spencer Cadigan, as usual. And we got most of the usual hosts on today. We got Tony Pantoja, one of the originators, along with myself. Bama, Robert Humphreys couldn't make it. He might try and make it a little bit later. We are the three original co-hosts of Sports and Tacos. And then we have a super amazing, what I found out, color analyst, my buddy Billy Hughes, coming on today to talk a little bit of basketball. And super amazing, we've got to give you tons of thanks. Mr. Bill Hammond of Hammond Entertainment coming on today. We are super excited to have you, Bill. Thank you very much for coming on. And this is the show today. It's kind of the dog days of summer. Training camp just started. Baseball's kind of starting to heat up a little bit, starting to see some playoff runs and stuff. But anytime we get somebody as big as you on, Bill, we're going to give the stage is basically yours. So let's dive in. And, what's your backstory, Bill? How did Bill Hammond become Bill Hammond and Hammond Entertainment? And just for all the viewers out there, me and Billy, we do these super amazing celebrity golf tournaments for Bill. We work for Bill when he puts on these amazing celebrity golf tournaments. So me and Billy know Bill a little bit. So, but yeah, stage is yours, Bill. How did Bill Hammond become Bill Hammond?
Well, listen, first off, thanks for the nice introduction. It's nice to be here. And I'm sitting there looking at Billy on your show and just reminiscing of when Bill Hammond was a young Bill Hammond, and his mother and I went to grade school and high school together.
Oh,
but
wow.
How did Bill Hammond become Bill Hammond? Well, I guess my mom and dad brought me into the world, and Bill Hammond in school always had a big vision and big dreams that I always pursued, and I wanted to turn my dreams into reality. So as a young Bill out of college, I pursued corporate life for a couple of years, but I eventually really wanted to be in the fashion world. So for 4 years, I pursued fashion modeling part-time until I could learn the craft and jump out there in the big leagues, and modeled full-time for 5 years in New York and Los Angeles with big agencies like Ford Modeling Agency, Wilhelmina. Pursued my dreams there and did that for 5 years. And then my next dream and vision was to have my own entertainment company, and I partnered for 5 years with a guy named Ramon Hervey, and we produced concerts and tours and worked with everybody in the industry from Prince to Stevie Wonder to Lenny Kravitz, and that was my next big vision. And then the next venture for Bill Hammond was creating Hammond Entertainment in 1995, and it was to really build a bridge between entertainment and corporate America. And what I still do to this day, 28 years later, is I have married celebrities, athletes, entertainers with corporate America. And also 30% of my company is nonprofit, where I've created 6 celebrity golf tournaments for some pretty big name people. One for Anthony Anderson, going on our 5th year. Cedric the Entertainer, next month will be our 10th anniversary. That's going to be in Cabo, San Lucas. And then we just finished Napa Live, my 2nd year in Napa last month. And then we have Phil Oates, the minority owner of the Sacramento Kings and the largest landowner in Sacramento. We got his 3rd year coming up. So I've been pretty blessed, and I've learned at my age and being full of gratitude and grateful for the opportunities that have been presented to me. And I don't take a day for granted, and I have a good time with what we do, and that starts every morning at 4 a.m. to create and be a better person every day that I can be, and help others and live a life of passion and service, if you will. So that's Bill Hammond.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, my friend, I'm an actor, writer, producer. You were talking about Wilhelmina. Wilhelmina is still my agent back home in Denver before I moved out to LA. So I like Will. I'm a fan of Wilhelmina. Okay. Yeah, that's how I got my very first ever break. Played a dad in a Chili's commercial that I booked from Wilhelmina, Denver, back home about, I don't know, 6-7 years ago now. But yeah, that's
Wilhelmina, Denver.
Yeah, Wilhelmina, Denver. Yep, it's man. I still get auditions and stuff for them. I love Wilhelmina. So they gave me my first shot. So when you were doing R&B live, so was that was just concerts that you guys were putting on? Because I was kind of wondering about R&B live, like what it exactly was. You guys that you hooked up with? Did you guys start it from scratch?
Yeah. So R&B live. Yes, inception. A gentleman named Ramon Hervey became my mentor. Gave me a break when I was transitioning out of the fashion business. I worked in his mailroom. He's a very successful publicist. He managed artist Babyface. He was married to actress and singer Vanessa Williams, and they had 3 kids together. So I worked in his mailroom as an intern for a few months and was thinking about becoming a publicist, but that was really not me. I was always good at organizing people, so I worked with him on his award shows, Soul Train Awards and others. And a publicist I was not, but I realized how good I was with people. And from there, I left when he didn't offer me the publicist job. And I had an idea 3 months later, a very rough idea of R&B Live, and went back to him because he had the resources, the relationships to really bring this to fruition. And the concept was once a week to hire the best musicians in the world, that when a Prince or a Chaka Khan or Stevie Wonder heard, what band do you have playing tonight? They'd all want to come because these are the best session musicians in the world. So we launched January 1991, the night of the Gulf War. Who would have predicted? Oh, wow. And we had 5 years run every Wednesday night. The record companies would buy tables. It was the toughest ticket to get in. We never advertised who was performing, but every record company, every artist wanted to be there every week. So
that's awesome.
Ran for 5 years. We did over 200 countries, USO tours, and it was a phenomenon for a long time. But the number one goal is we wanted to get it to be like a Hard Rock and like the House of Blues, and we took it to Japan, but and then Fox never bought it, so it was just time to go our own ways, and that's when I launched Hammond Entertainment. It took those relationships in music, corporate America, and 5 years of learning to being a producer to take it to the next level. But R&B Live was a very special place, and it still has many memories.
Yeah, did you? I don't want to dive too much. I want to get into some sports and stuff. Did you? How were the USO tours? Fun? Did you like the USO tour stuff that you did?
USO tours were great. Yeah, we did over 20 countries, from Germany, Italy, Panama, and to entertain those troops. I mean, they were, I took out from anywhere from Earth, Wind, and Fire to Sheila E. to Tommy Davidson. We did 3 of them. So we did the Bahamas, we did Germany and Italy, and they were great. And to travel on these big aircraft carriers and flying through the Caribbean in helicopters, and to see the smile of these faces from the troops was an amazing journey. We had a great time. It was just such a wonderful experience. Yeah.
Awesome.
That is so awesome.
Tony was interested in some of the charities.
Yeah, Yeah, brother, I just want to give you a shout out, man. You are awesome. I looked you up at all the stuff that you have accomplished and what have you done, and then what you've been doing and how you're helping out. Just that is awesome. You have a big heart, and God bless you. Gosh darn it. I bet you have a great time. It obviously sounds like it. And you get to meet all these great people, plus they get to meet you and all the things that you do and what you support and what you go for. God bless you, brother. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
Just in real quick, Bill. I don't know. I'm sure you probably name off some of the charities that you're involved with, if you can.
So, yeah, what Cedric's is our big one is the Boys and Girls Club in Camarillo. I approached Cedric 12 years ago about the idea of doing a celebrity golf tournament because back then we played in tournaments. Cedric was always saying yes to everybody to do this and that and the other. I'm like, dude, we should create your own. I'll do it. I'll run it. And he's like, no, man, I don't want to do that. You know, it's gonna cost me money. No. So for 2 years, I just stayed on him. I raised the money. I got Lexus to be a title sponsor. 10 years later, 4 months ago, Boys and Girls Club of Camarillo that we built a partnership with, built a teen center in the name of Lorna and Cedric Kyles. They spent $5 million. To see Lorna and Cedric's name on there means the world to me. So Boys and Girls Club's been very good to us, and we've been good to them. So we built that relationship. And then also Cedric and Lorna give to some other charities that they support.
Right.
Anthony Anderson's big, you know, Anthony's from Compton, so he really helps out in Compton, Children's Hospital, Boys and Girls Club in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
So those are Anthony's, and he's got like 10 that he supports. What I do is I put together the tournaments, I help with the sponsorships, I drive them, I run them, I manage them. But when it comes to the money that's raised, they all take that money and do what they want with their money for their charities. It's their 501c3. For Hammond Entertainment, when I created Hammond Bless, the Napa Live experience, that was based upon during the pandemic in 20 being home for a year and really reinventing myself. And then January 2021, Kaiser Permanente called me January 6th and said, Bill, can you and your team get up here and build mass vaccine sites for the underserved market of Vallejo? And in 3 seconds, I said yes, because all the tour managers, road managers, everybody I knew from Beyonce's, everybody's sitting at home. So we put a team together, and for the next year and a half, when you were there, Spencer and Billy, you know, I employed 190 people. We did almost 200,000 vaccines in Vallejo and Napa. It was life-changing. It was a pivot for me that changed my life and changed a lot of people's lives. And when everybody was sitting at home, and during that 14-month period, I said, you know what, this is my calling. Napa's been good to me. Vallejo's been good to me. I'm going to create my own 501c3, and I'm going to give back to this community. So we just finished year 2. I have Boys and Girls Club that I take care of in Napa. I have the Police Athletic League out of Fairfield. I have On the Move, which is recovering addicts and whatnot to help support them. You know, our first year I was able to give checks to all these groups, and then so it's been really a wonderful experience. Like I said, I don't take anything for granted, and I'm full of gratitude, and every day. Yeah, thank you. So that's a kind of and then Phil Oates, you know, the minority of Sacramento Kings and the largest landowner. You know, when I was a kid, I knew who his dad was. You know, my dad, this guy was legendary in Sacramento, just a real estate pioneer. And Phil's always supported my tournaments that I produce. And he asked me one day 3 years ago would I consider producing his, and that was a no-brainer. But he's already said this year he's committing ours in October. We've already got 500,000 raised that he's going to give out to different charities. So it's been really wonderful in a lot of ways because aside from getting these great athletes and great people together, everybody's giving back. Everybody's helped one another. And what I've seen over the course of 10 years since Cedric's, you know, you're putting all different races, walks of life, wealthy, middle income, but now people are doing business together. They're playing golf together. They're understanding one another's cultures, and they're giving back to the community. And that's nothing's more important than that, I think. So, it's great.
It's super awesome. It's amazing to see your golf tournaments, just everything you guys do is.
By any chance, Bill, do you ever play in your tournaments that you host?
No, but I'm a big golfer, but I don't play in my tournaments. I don't think it's appropriate because if anything was to go wrong, where's Bill? He's on a golf course. But no,
I got you. But I got to ask you, do you ever play with Michael Jordan or like Cedric the Entertainer, any of those guys?
Yeah, I play with everybody. So I used to produce from 2004 to 2008 Michael Jordan's tournament in the Bahamas. And I did it up until 2008 and it was sexy then because you had big budgets and the only thing that stopped it was recession. But I didn't produce the golf component there. I produced 3 nights of entertainment for him for 5 years, and it was awesome because you had big
Oh,
I
sponsors.
bet you guys had a blast.
Had a blast. And do I play with Michael? Yes, but I always play 5 or 6 foursomes back because the dudes that play in his foursome or the one right behind him, there's a whole lot of betting going on, and I don't got that kind of money. And they're really
I don't
competitive.
know
He's a
nothing.
great, yeah, no, it's just very competitive and fun. But those guys are
Next level.
That's
tenacious on the
awesome.
golf
I love
course.
hearing that.
But I
And
play with, I play
another thing I got to ask, man, I see that you help out with Stevie Wonder's the full of toys, and you did that concert. I
Yeah,
bet
so
that's a hoot.
Yeah, so from inception in '97, I was a producer and co-producer with him from '97 to 2008, and I did it every year. And then he decided to go with Live Nation. But I saw Stevie last month. We're still friends. I just was on the phone with his
Man,
executive director at the radio station. But yeah, but yeah, I'm around Stevie, and still good friends. But you asked about playing with Seth. I played with a lot of the guys. I mean,
that's
I got
awesome. I love hearing that.
great story. One great story. I took Eric Dickerson to my country club to play. We're good friends, and we're riding around the cart just playing golf, and we're talking. I look at my phone. I see who's calling, and it's Ronnie Lott. And I show Eric. I said, Eric, look who's calling me right now. And he just looked at me and shook his head. And I answered the phone. It's like, what's up, Ronnie? Ronnie's been a dear friend of mine since 1981, his rookie year. But I'll get back to that. So I took his call. He had a question for me. I said, I'm playing golf with Eric. Tell Eric hello. Hung up the phone. And I looked over at Eric in the passenger seat, and he just shook his head. He said, man, all I can say to you, Billy, is I wanted to know where that motherfucker was on the field at all times. He said, no questions asked. He said, I wanted to know where he was because once he hit you, you knew it. And he said that was one person I was on red alert for it all the time, at all times, was where is he? And I told Ronnie that story about a few days later. But those are the kind of stories that I really have to share with these old school cats that played ball like those guys did.
Yep, like I was saying that one day, just thinking that Ronnie Lott and Dennis Smith played on the same team at USC. Because, me and Tony, we're both born and raised in Denver. So Dennis Smith is, we're huge fans of Dennis Smith. He's in the Ring of Fame of the Broncos. Those two headhunters coming at you on every play would have been scary playing USC back in the day. Both, because honestly, Dennis Smith, he wasn't around for any of the Super Bowls. But if he would have been around for any of those teams that won, he probably would have got Hall of Fame, consideration. Agreed. Just like Steve Atwater. Because Steve Atwater eventually ended up in the Hall of Fame, but he was on the Super Bowl, at least one of the Super Bowl teams. So, Dennis Smith, he doesn't get all the credit that he should have because Dennis Smith was a beast. And Ronnie Lott.
But you just didn't want to get hit by him. No, exactly. Boy, I bet Ronnie Lott, though, I bet he sticks him, though. Just a beast. I've seen highlights that I remember.
Okay, so I just want to, I have one, I want to ask you because you're from Sacramento. I know you're not from Oakland, Bill, but we've been talking about this a lot this summer Oakland has lost the Raiders and they are now about to lose the A's. Well, I just want to get, you're from Sacramento. I just want to get your opinion of it, of Oakland losing its sports franchises. And then I just want to kind of chat about, because me and Tony are born and raised in Denver, Colorado. So the fact that a sports franchise leaves, like in Denver, Colorado, there would be a riot. If we lost the Broncos, if we lost any of our sports teams, it would be nuts. People would lose it, number one. And number two, Tony remembers this. I'm not sure how familiar with Denver you are, Bill, but lower downtown Denver, before they built Coors Field, was just it was the old train tracks. It was a tough place. Oh, did we lose Bill? Oh, there you are. So
I'm back. I
got it. So after they built Coors Field, that area of Denver was horrible back in the day. And me and Tony have talked about this. There's a bridge called the Spear Viaduct, where Tony,
you see this?
Tony, you see what's going on? I told Tony to tone it down. I guarantee he's got a Budweiser sitting there somewhere.
I'm drinking my Tony Weiser, but 3 beers of it.
I told it.
I told Gabby to bring me out a Coors for the show. I can't do a podcast and tacos without a beer.
No, absolutely. Normally, Tony has
the Tony Weiser chaser.
So, anyways, that area was a total whole of Denver. They built Coors Field, and it is now the most valuable real estate in Denver, Colorado. So I just use that as a template for Oakland, and I understand the argument. They need the money for schools, not for new sports stadiums. But for me, it's kind of like not seeing the forest through the trees, because if you build the new stadium, and it's not just Denver that you can use as a template, you can use Phoenix, even you go down to Inglewood. They're going to start building up that entire area around those new stadiums. You build the new stadium, you get shopping centers around it, you get higher income housing, you get all that tax revenue from all the newness to build new schools. And then I'll stop there. What's your opinion, Bill?
Hey, man,
Okay,
I
so
agree with
Bill.
Yeah.
Oh.
So to chime in here, I understand the business aspect of it. Vegas has become a place where there's lots of money, lots of creativity. And when you look at the business, I mean, look what Spanos did with the Chargers in San Diego. Wouldn't give up the money, wouldn't build a stadium. And my dear friends Otto O'Malley and Stan Kroenke that built SoFi Stadium and that own the Rams, I've seen what they've done. And I've seen the money they put in that community. I have friends that have homes there. In the hood, these homes were $400,000 5 years ago. These homes are now $900,000. I see what the infrastructure they've brought to the community. So for me, as an entrepreneur and a businessman, I'm all for these owners taking opportunities in other cities that are willing to back them, to help them build their brand. There's so much money in that business, that revenue sharing and all that. But to stay in a market like Oakland, where they're not getting the support that the owners want, you've got to look at those other opportunities. Same thing what San Diego did. That's what the Rams did. So, it's a business first.
Yeah, I understand that. It's just, to me, those are two of the most iconic franchises in the world. The Raiders arguably are number 2 to maybe only the Yankees. Okay. And then the A's, that's an extremely iconic baseball team. But to let them leave your community, to me, coming from Denver, being born and raised in Denver, is nuts. Again, there had to have been a way they could have made it work. Because now, and this is just my opinion, Oakland Coliseum is about to become a real-life black hole. I mean, what's it going to become? The world's nicest men's softball park?
Yeah. Nah, they're going to tear it down, man. They're going to build condos.
I mean, that just doesn't.
That's what they will do. They will do that. And another thing which I don't like to get into. Yeah, the other thing I don't like to get into is politics. I'm so
I get it. I get it.
I was going to finish my statement that's one of the reasons I'm in the philanthropic private sector business, to raise money, is because I'm so tired of fucking politics and the way things are handled and things are not getting done. Yeah. Politics plays a big part of these franchises, these teams. They put together teams to buy a team. They put together this and that and the other. But there's politics involved. The politicians somehow, some way, have an allegiance with certain people and certain things to get done, and it just doesn't work out. And I just think that at the end of the day, it's a business. It's entertainment. Mm-hmm. There's business and there's entertainment, and there's a marriage there. And you have to go to, if you're a team owner, you have to go to a city that's going to believe in your vision, your passion, and it's money. Yeah, of course it's money.
Yep.
So
all right. Yeah, I get it.
That's the best answer I can give.
Got it. Billy, we don't got Bill for too much longer. I got Billy wants to chat a little Sacramento Kings in the season that's coming up, Bill, because they are on the rise. They are a team on the rise in the NBA.
Yeah, they're the new NBA League Pass team. Very exciting. I think we're the fastest team in the NBA, and we have lots of youth. So, Bill, I just had a couple questions for you about the Kings. Obviously, very exciting, very young, very fast. how happy and excited are you to watch the Kings nowadays, considering we are relevant and are up and coming in the league?
So to answer that question, I'm really excited because I did a project with De'Aaron Fox 4 years ago for Kaiser for the underserved market of Vallejo, and he was just such a gentleman. And I've watched, with my relationship with Phil Oates, the minority owner of the Kings, and I get to go sit courtside with him when I'm there and all that fun stuff. But he and I went on vacation together 2 weeks ago in Hawaii, just he and I, and to have 5 days with him of just relaxation and brainstorming. But to watch the Kings, especially the last 2 years, but watching the playoffs this year, I really see a great future because they're young, up and coming, and on point. This should be a really exciting year. I mean, mentally and physically, they're on point and getting those 2 contracts signed. I mean, De'Aaron coming back, and what is it, Sabonis?
Yeah, it's 5 years.
The Sabonis I'm talking about. That's just
yeah.
Oh, you're talking about correct? His extension? Yeah, it was $21.5 million
Nice.
for his 5-year extension.
So it's really exciting for the Kings, and I'm excited for the city because I remember back in the what was it, the 80s when I was going to Kings game and hanging out with Reggie Theus. So it goes way back watching them lose for so many years. But I'm excited for Sacramento. I'm excited for the Kings and excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, and I think Murray, man, that Keegan Murray, he's good.
I think we have the most loyal and best fan base in the league, the Sacramento Kings, and we've stuck through it thick and thin.
That was. Yeah,
sorry,
that
was just
clearly apparent during the playoffs. That was. I was just saying that was so exciting watching the playoffs and the Kings home games, man. I was like, edge of my seat here at home, going, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
so, I still think he could have beat the Warriors.
Yeah, I think he could have beat the Warriors. Something pretty special in Game 7. So.
Well, and me and Tony being, born and raised in Denver, dreams do come true, baby.
Through the whole thing there, Shotgun. You didn't go for the Denver Nuggets.
I believed once we got to Game 5, Tony. Once we got
you had everybody else's poster on that wall, brother.
That was an incredible run.
Yeah, that was that was incredible. And Stan Kroenke also owns the Rams too at SoFi Stadium.
And the Avalanche.
And the Avalanche, and then he's got the soccer teams. But I spent
now he's got championships in all divisions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
baseball, football, soccer, hockey. That boy, man.
Hey, Bill.
No joke.
Hey, Bill, I just have one more question regarding the Kings. So obviously, Tyrese Halliburton went to the Indiana Pacers, and now he has the key to the franchise, signing a 5-year, $260 million max deal. And then the Kings go ahead and do that with Sabonis, 5-year, $217. Do you feel like that was a good trade for both teams, or do you wish that we had kept Halliburton and maybe traded Fox, because that's initially what the Pacers wanted? They wanted De'Aaron Fox. Or are you happy with the situation the Kings are currently in?
I'm happy. Oh, what's that? I'm happy with the way the situation is. I think it played out, and from what I'm hearing from the inside, that they're happy, and they have somebody. And I've heard through my reliable source that the coach is really happy, and they're really happy with the coach. So if the coach is doing his part and the players love the coach, I think they made the right decision, and I think that you got to be all in. And time will tell this year,
you guys
Mike Brown getting the unanimous Coach of the Year, and well-deserved. I'm so happy he got the respect as a Coach of the Year, Mike Brown.
Yeah, I don't know him, and I haven't met him, but I did hear while I was in Hawaii that the players love him, and he's a coach, a player's coach, and then the owners love him too. So that's a good thing.
Yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay, Bill, I've got one last question for you. I don't want to keep it too long. All right. Me and Tony, we're old school football fans. All right. And in my opinion, the 1989 49ers that absolutely destroyed my Denver Broncos. It's
55-10.
It's still the worst Super Bowl game ever. Nobody has ever lost a Super Bowl by 45 points before. It's one of the greatest. It's one of the greatest teams I think ever to play a single season of football. Now, don't get me wrong. There's dynasties out there, this and that, but for one single season of football, offense, defense, the 89 49ers were one of the best teams ever. Okay. And this comes from, this comes from Madden. Back in the day when you used to play Madden and you would win a season, it would unlock all-time great team codes. And I would always want to get the codes so that I could have the 1989 49ers play the 1985 Chicago Bears. If the 1989 49ers in Fantasyland played the 1985 Chicago Bears, who would win, and what do you think the score would be, Bill?
Well, two things. I'd argue I like the 81 49ers, but where would they be playing? Would they be playing at Soldier Field, or what city would that game be in?
Okay, this would be this. Okay, it would be new. Okay, we'll call it neutral field. They're playing in Phoenix, Arizona, in a dome.
So knowing both those teams, number one, my allegiance is the 49ers, but I'm thinking of the players. I'm thinking of Richard Dent. I'm thinking of Singletary. I'm thinking of McMahon. I mean, those guys were animals, but you know, it's hard for me to go against my boys, you know, but what comes to mind, you know, because I don't play fantasy football, but those guys, the Bears were tough to beat in Soldier Field. Those guys were just relentless and animals, and they could play in that cold and whatnot. But you know, I've been a Niner fan since the 60s with my dad when they used to be 2-12 when it was John Brody and Gene Washington and watching those games. So I go way back. But my alliance is definitely with the 49ers. But, you know, you put me on a spot there. But I know both those teams. And just thinking of, like I said, that Singletary, Richard Dent on that defense. Those guys were just –
But Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Roger Craig, Joe Montana, like that offense – was one of the most unstoppable things I'd ever seen. In their defense,
even man, for a fullback, wow,
dude, they were insane. You know, they had
incredible.
Okay, Tony,
so I'd have to go with I'd have to go with the Niners.
The Niners. Are you willing to give me what you think the score would be?
Niners would win.
I don't.
I would say 28-24, 27-24.
27-20. Okay, cool. Tony.
See, I like Bill's thinking on that, but as a betting man that I am, I would take the under, and I'm sure the under would probably be under 42 or under 52. But at the same time, I would say it would be a 21-17 because I feel defense, which Chicago had, was awesome, just like how Bill was saying. He named off some great players, but at the same time, you got to name off some great players on offense too. Oh my gosh, Willie Gold. They had McMahon.
Walter Payton.
You had Sweetness. You had Walter Payton. You had Greg Michaels. You had a lot of great talent on both sides, but then you go on the 49ers, their offensive attack was delicious because you know what? If they didn't run it up with Roger Craig, guess who they also had in the backfield? Number 44. That boy was the milkman, I call, because, man, all he was doing was going to house taking milk. But then you got passing, you got tight ends too. You know, gosh, man, you know, that would be a tough one. But on that one, I would have to take offense because you can wear down a defense where the offense can take control. I say 49ers, 21-17.
Tony, okay, let's say the game hasn't started yet. What do you think the points, what do you think the point spread would have been?
Well, since you'd be on a neutral site, they'd probably go off of the offense. So I say -3 for the 49ers.
Okay, so I want to say the Bears because when you look back at the Bears that season, they had they had 6 or 7 games where they shut the other team out, like no points. That's how good that defense was. But They finished 15-1 that season.
Yes.
You probably remember, Tony. The only game they lost.
Yep.
was when
Say
they
it.
played
Say it, baby. Say
the
it.
Miami Dolphins and Dan Marino, and the only offense in that compared to like the 49ers. So when they had to play a team that had just a next level offense, they got beat that season. So I think it would be something crazy. I think it would be like 20. Tony's probably right. 20-17, 49ers. And Joe, I got to go with Joe Montana. At the end of the day,
Hey, man.
I always go with
Between the
great
80s and 90s, he had that. He owned the 80s and 90s.
Yeah,
Early.
well,
I agree.
and people, you know, like, don't get me wrong, Tom Brady is the GOAT, but Joe Montana never lost a Super Bowl. 4-0, perfect in the big.
And you know what was sad about the 1985 win? You know, over the Patriots.
Hey, no, I agree with you. Well, I think we're all on the same.
Same page.
Yeah, you know, it was Sweetness didn't get a touchdown in the Super Bowl. You know, because who would ever thought that they
I
would
think
go
we're all on the
back?
same page for the 49ers.
Yeah. All right. Well, awesome, Bill. Thank you very much for coming on. I hope to have you on again soon.
Heck yeah, come back
Hey,
on,
Spencer.
Bill, man. You're awesome to talk to.
I got
Go ahead.
one last thought.
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Bill. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hey, I got one more thought. Spencer, can you hear me?
Yep. Do it.
Spencer.
Yep. We can hear you.
So I like your shirt. You're representing me today. I see that.
Absolutely.
But listen, I want to say, I went to junior college. He's from Sacramento with Gerald Wilhite.
Oh,
You remember Gerald
way.
Wilhite?
Of course
Number
I know
47.
Gerald Wilhite.
Number
Like,
47 always did the
We went to
backflips.
junior college together.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Well, like I said,
He had a
me and
couple good
Tony.
years with you guys.
Yes, he did. We're born
It
and
was.
raised in
It was.
Denver.
I still remember on Monday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings, he went for a jump. Usually when he always scores a touchdown, he does backflips. But then he got his ankle broke on live TV, and you got to see his leg look like that.
Yep, I remember.
Oh.
Awesome, Bill. Thank you for coming on. All right, we're gonna take a just a quick break, guys, and then we got Jason and
What's up?
oh, Bill back. Here we go.
Yeah,
Hold
no,
on, there you are. Cool.
Yeah, I was saying that. Yeah, I went to junior college for 2 years with Gerald Wilhite at American River Junior College in Sacramento, and then I know he played for you guys for a couple years. He had a couple good years, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he was number 47 on our team. And on Monday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings, man, we got to see something live that, last time we saw that was Joe Theismann getting nailed by Lawrence Taylor. But Gerald Wilhite went up in the air, and you got to see his leg do this.
Oh, that's what. Well, I forgot about that. Oh,
Yeah,
my God.
that was a sad moment. I was even eating dinner that night watching it, and then we couldn't eat anymore because it looked that bad.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Bill, for coming on.
Hey, Bill, thanks for coming on.
Hey, Mr. Hammond, come back on soon, brother.
I would love to. We'll do it again. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Awesome, Bill. We'll talk to you
Okay,
soon.
guys.
Bye,
Okay,
Bill.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Billy.
All right, cool. We're gonna take just take a quick break, do some commercials, and then we'll dive into the second half of the show here. Thank you guys for being patient. And here we go. Back in probably 2 minutes.
All right, this is Sports and Tacos. We got freaks out there. We got 4 of them. We got 5 of them. We got special guests. We got a man in the shower. We got a brainiac. We got a guy that looks like he's supposed to be on Sports Center. And then you got me. It's all about the TMP, Sports and Tacos.
Perfect. Who are the guys at Sports and Tacos? We're a bunch of sports experts who work together in a huge sports bar forever. And we know more sports than anybody in this entire world because we put our money where our mouth is.
Because we get paid to put our money where our mouth is. We tell you how it is for real, not what they want you to say. Listen to us. Sports and Tacos.
Cool. Perfect. All right, dudes. Let's see.
Oh
we're gonna
my God, that Flash T-shirt with
so
the backdrop
money.
makes
so,
me laugh till I pee myself.
so
Oh my God, those sunglasses.
money.
Do you get laid?
hold,
I mean,
hold,
come on.
Hold. Okay, so we're gonna give a shout out to Hammond Entertainment. We just had Bill Hammond on for the first time. Hope to have Bill on again soon. Puts on some amazing celebrity golf tournaments. We're going to give a shout out to Dawn Church, who her Smoke Lab Vodka is now a sponsor of Sports and Tacos. We got to give a shout out to Dan Wolken over at Memory Lane Incorporated. Dan has been on 50 episodes of Pawn Stars. He's the sports memorabilia expert. Has one of the best, basically, sports memorabilia businesses. If you have a Babe Ruth rookie card, Dan is the guy you want to talk to. Also, we want to give a shout out to Megan Johnson and Doug Plank, their podcast, Sports and Shopping. Doug was an amazing football player for the Chicago Bears for a long time. We're going to give a quick shout out to Ray Pinetto over at Pro Signatures Memorabilia. They have some of the coolest sports collages in the entire world when it comes to autograph memorabilia and stuff you would buy for like Christmas presents. Pro Signatures Memorabilia is where you want to go. And last but not least, Mr. Paul Pratt, ex-Detroit Lion, and his amazing electrolyte-injected super Noah water. We hope to have Paul back on the show soon. Football season is right around the corner, so we'll be seeing a lot of these people soon. Oh, what do you got there, Jason? Is that a Mickey Mantle? Is that a double play? What? That's pretty sweet, dude. I remember you telling me about that. But anyways, okay. So
Plastic with the screws, dude.
That is pretty sweet.
And I have a Daryl Strawberry rookie card that I think I can still get some residue out of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, anyways, we have a new guest.
PSA 6.
We got a new guest on the show. Michael, do I pronounce it Balash?
Baylash.
Baylash. Michael Baylash.
Baseball player I knew from a long time ago. He's from Point Park University, and then he went on became this fucking great. He went on and became this great baseball player. So let you introduce yourself, Mr. Baylash.
No, thank you for having me. Yeah, played D3 school down south. And then I went to Point Park to get my master's, where I worked for the Pirates for a year in advanced scouting, and then did some coaching after that. And
sweet, dude.
Playing and working with some players. Yeah.
What was it like working for a MLB team?
Crazy, to be honest. It was right at the height of Moneyball. This was 2008.
Okay.
I did the winter meetings 3 years in a row, and every year it was more and more people, and it became crazier and crazier. It was tough. It was fun. This was before they were forced to pay interns as well.
Right.
So, they had people move from California to Pittsburgh all on their own dime, pay for their apartment and food and everything, just to be there. So it was crazy.
So is Pittsburgh a crazy sports town? Because obviously you have the Pirates, the Penguins, and then the Steelers. What's their fan base like?
So it's football 24/7, 365.
Just like Denver.
It's Steelers. Now you do have your Penguins that will edge up there, just more with Lemieux. They were hot, and then with Crosby they got a little down here. Yeah. But outside of that, the Pitt's coming back finally. You know, they had the really good Big East basketball teams. Football had been horrible until recently.
Yeah.
And then until Narduzzi came. But the Pirates, I mean, they just don't do anything for that town.
Well, you had Andrew McCutcheon. He was pretty good.
He was pretty sweet for a little while. Did you guys know?
Lucky. It was all luck. They pocket way more money than they put into that team.
do people from Pittsburgh? Because I assume, are you and Jason both from Pittsburgh?
I've lived there a couple times, so I'm not
Okay.
usually from there. So
I don't know if you guys are aware, but the Pittsburgh Steeler fan base is the most well-traveled fan base in the NFL. There are more Steelers fans across the country than anywhere else.
It's almost like the Packers. Yeah.
And what the story I've heard, okay, I was at the 2005 AFC Championship game when Jake the Snake Plummer got beat by Ben Roethlisberger at Mile High.
Second year man.
Yeah, I was wondering why in the F was there so many what were so many Steelers fans doing at Mile High Stadium? And I asked a fan, I was like, and not only that, but a couple of my buddies were wasted and they hit some chick in the face with a snowball and there was almost a brawl. So anyways, but through all of this, I asked, hey, why is like half the stadium full of Steelers fans? And one of them told me it's because when the steel industry collapsed back in the early 80s, people from Pittsburgh scattered all over America to go find work. But they, obviously are going to stay Steelers fans the rest of their life, because it's nuts to me. Like our old like hometown bar in Westminster, Colorado was a freaking Steelers bar. And I was like, why is Hofbrau a Steelers bar in the middle of Denver, Colorado? Because the guy was from Pittsburgh. So just so you guys know.
There's a Steelers bar found in Milan when I went there. So,
dude,
wow.
Yeah.
It's
straight up crazy Steelers bar. I was like, what? And I came in, and when I showed them my Pittsburgh Pennsylvania driver's license, and it showed like Pittsburgh, PA on it, I got all the free drinks I wanted. They loved me. I was like, oh, the real Steelers fan. But the weird thing is, I don't watch sports at all. That's why I'm the perfect referee for this show.
Yes, absolutely. So we're Michael, I guess let's dive into some baseball. What were your thoughts of the Angels not trading Shohei Ohtani?
It wasn't too shocking, because the haul that they were going to ask for him nobody could manage it. No matter what they would do, they would basically lose out unless everybody became a superstar. Yeah. And if you've watched any baseball trades, baseball trades are still somewhat of a coin flip, right? And then if you trade Ohtani, what does that tell you about Trout? Why you keep Trout as well?
But
the only
generational talent.
The only trade with Ohtani that would have made sense is if they did something like what the Yankees did with Chapman a couple years ago, which was trade him and then re-sign him.
I think they could have got Juan Soto and Snell from the Padres. At least you get something. And this is where I'm going with this, and I'll let Tony chime in too. Now, because they're all in, am I correct when I say if they don't end up in the playoffs this year, he becomes a free agent next year, right?
No matter what, he's a free agent.
And they could possibly get nothing for him.
Correct.
Ouch. That's terrible.
Nothing.
There was only 3 teams in MLB that can pick this man up, that can afford him. 1 was the Dodgers, 2, San Diego, but then I said 3, but at the same time, you got to think about 3. You're talking about all of New York. The Mets have a lot of money to go ahead and spend, but they already got one. They got rid of one of their star pitchers, Scherzer, but at the same time, they still have Verlander and they have a couple hurt people, but they still have prospects.
They ended up being sellers instead of buyers.
Yeah, but I don't think the Mets are going to look at them. But you know who I do think, and this is kind of funny, I think the Yankees might open up their wallet just a little bit, and they might get rid of their top prospects, which, you know what, they are in playoff contention.
That's the
point.
They are in
playoff contention. Don't get me wrong.
Tony, that's the point. Nobody has to give up anything for him.
Yeah, but at the same time, think about it. If they did, and Judge coming back and already hitting a home run, very delicious. But now, since the ending of the season's coming to appear, they're thinking the Angels are going to get help, and I don't see it. But so I think he's going to be going to, I say the Dodgers.
What about Boston?
So he's
Boston won't do it. No, he wants to go on a team that he knows that's going to be a contention for World Series, where, you know, unfortunately, I don't see the Mets getting, having the opportunity, even though they have the bankroll, and now they're getting rid of our pitchers, and they also have hurt pitchers. But San Diego, no.
So San Diego, Snell or Soto wouldn't work in a trade because they'd both be free agent next year anyways. I'm pretty sure.
Exactly. They're already going to be selling out, and guess what? They might actually be going to the team where Ohtani's going to be going.
The Angels aren't going to take on 2 expiring contracts for Ohtani. They're going to want somebody young and cheap because Ohtani is on – I forget what the minimum with the Japanese rules are, but he's on like under $1 million a year contract this year. So literally every single team is technically in on him. Every single team can afford him because it's till the end of the next year, which would be $600 million.
At the beginning of next season,
I see him as a $500 million man. You got 2 trades, pitcher and hitter.
So let's do this. Let's do over-under in the offseason because I don't agree with the Angels. I think it's wishful thinking. You got to get something for that talent if you know you're probably going to lose him. But let's do this.
Putting butts in the seat, Spencer. They're expecting.
Yeah, it's wishful thinking.
They're expecting it. So
instead of trading Babe Ruth, they're going to get nothing for him. That's what they just did.
So here's the question, though. What happens? What if they, let's say they make the playoffs, they lose first round, right? As we know, watching last year, the Phillies were barely making it into it. They were awful. They fired their manager. They were, I think, 500 at the All-Star break, and they make the playoffs and run, which I actually hate the new playoffs, to be honest.
I get it.
But that's a different story. But if they make it and they lose, they still have a better chance to re-sign Ohtani because they've put together a team and made the playoffs.
Maybe.
They haven't sold because if not, why would you not go with the Dodgers if they're offering the same amount?
Okay, well, here's my question then. What would end up – you're not going to be able to, keep Trout and sign Ohtani.
Trout signed long-term.
How are you going to – for another – So that's where I was going with this is –
he's still running.
Put it over-under. Let's set the number at $651 million.
Oh, that's a good one. I was going to –
651. Price is right. Over or under? What are you thinking, Michael?
I'm going slightly under.
Okay,
I think I'm going about – my gut is like 630.
Tony.
I agree with my man right there, man. I say just a little bit under because if you think about it, he's 2 players in one. You got a batter that how many home runs does he have right now? He's 30 plus. How many RBIs? Many. And how many wins? How many strikeouts? He's a 2-person.
Yeah.
So you think about 225. I think he's going to get about 550 million.
It'll be more than that. It'll be like 100 million more.
With incentives and bonuses. No.
So here's one thing I'll throw out there, though. He does have an injury history. No. He's had 2 years where he's missed significant time. Yeah. So, and especially with his arm, so that could be. And 2, it will be very interesting how the weak free agent market turns out, right? If you watch this year, there's a really weird market where they had so many shortstops and the money was not thrown out there for everybody. Remember, Korea was struggling to find a suitor. So you wonder with a weak market and everybody being in, is it going to actually lower the price because when you compare him to other players, they're going to be on a much lower tier versus if you had him and like Judge next to each other. I mean, Soto being out there will help, but usually when somebody sets the market because he's not going to be the first to sign, and everything goes after that. So that will be the more intriguing side, which is how the market's set for him, because it could be if Soto signs $500 million, then you're looking at probably $700 for Ohtani.
That's insane, bro. $700 million.
I'm sorry, but I do agree with what you're saying on that, brother. I just don't see it, man. I don't see Soto getting that big of a paycheck where he's not going to stay all those years because he's going to have a written thing in that contract where if I'm not happy, I can leave at a certain amount of time of that contract.
That's the point. I agree. I don't think Soto will get that, but we've seen some crazy contracts being thrown out there. So I was just using him as an example, or even Snell. If Snell gets $300 million, Ohtani's as a pitcher would be worth over that. So it's going to be how the market's going to be set with some of those players to see what Ohtani gets.
Billy.
Yes.
What's your over or under $651 million?
It's definitely under. It's around the 6 mark. I was gonna.
Yeah, 6. Okay. Referee Jason. I know you don't know anything about what we're talking about, probably. Over or under 651 million?
Oh, sorry, I was on OnlyFans.
Okay, so we have an OnlyFans model, and she's
Heck yeah, brother!
but she's really multi-talented. Okay, so she's gonna get the biggest contract in OnlyFans history, and if they say it's gonna be between 600 and 700 million dollars, so we're setting the over/under number at 651 million. Over. Or, oh yeah, I think Jason's right. It's going
over.
Yeah. So okay, next topic. Max Scherzer is a Ranger. So all of a sudden, dude, the Rangers are sick. Your thoughts, anybody?
Well, you also forgot they picked up Jordan Montgomery from the Cardinals, which is another studly addition to that as a solid.
They're going for broke.
Well, they went for broke 2 years ago when they signed Seager and Simeon, and they were awful.
Mm-hmm. They were horrible.
So they already have the money invested. So you're exactly right. They're going for broke. I think it's the right move. The Astros look like they have issues, and they do. And we all know the Angels. Seattle was a fluke last year. And the other thing with the Rangers, they got some young players that like that catcher, can't pronounce it, Heim, who just got hurt. I mean, he's having a great year. So they have it there, and they needed pieces. Now the question is, are they relying on Scherzer to be Scherzer of old, or are they relying on him to be just a solid 3-4?
Hold that question. Sorry, gentlemen. I have a hard stop in 1 minute. I have to go, but it was great seeing everyone. Good luck, Mike Balash. Thank you for joining the call. Hope we can have you next week. Thank you, everyone. It was great seeing all of you. God bless.
Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See you, Jason. Yeah, we'll continue this. So, Scherzer to the Rangers. I just wanted to check something really quick.
I like it. I like it a lot.
You just can't count him to be the one.
See, it's one of those two. He's going to a team that he doesn't play. He's never played anybody in that division, and if he did, it was only on a 2-game, 3-game set for the weekend. And they flew out.
Well, it's not like he was a Tiger. He was a Tiger.
But you got to understand that was a young Scherzer. You're looking at a respectful, 100% boy that is not hurt. But you know what? It seems like American League, he gets bad luck on y'all, man. Come on.
The issue is he's got innings. He's got innings on that arm recently, and it's shown in New York. He's a competitor. I love Scherzer. I think you love watching him go out there and pitch because he wants the ball. He wants to win. I think that's great, but he's your at best, he's your 3.
Okay, I had a thought about this. And it's my same thought.
Switch up for the next.
Listen, guys, I have an idea if I'm the Rangers, right? And it's the same idea that I have if I'm the Golden State Warriors with Chris Paul. Just like literally for the rest of the season, make Max Scherzer your closer. Then, so he has very little innings on that arm the rest of the season. Then in playoff time, put him back to a starting role.
Well, Shotgun, if you're going to think like that, I wouldn't put him as a deep relief pitcher. I'd put him in the middle, man.
Yeah,
let him get those outs in the 7th or in the 8th where it's needed, where you bring in your closer to finish the deal.
Same with Chris Paul, because Chris Paul, don't even play Chris Paul in the regular season this season. Literally, his first game should be their first game of the playoffs, and just cross your fingers and say a prayer and hope he stays healthy for the playoffs.
You are funny. How do they get there?
That's what I'm saying. Without him, they'll make it anyways. They'll make it. They'll make it. Just like the Rangers will make the playoffs with or without Scherzer. So you don't necessarily what you bought.
Yeah, but that does help, and that does put spice in that soup to make everything.
Who gives a crap? You want to win a World Series championship. That's the point. So keep him as a reliever. Like give him 20 innings the rest of the season because you bought him. You played to win the game. That's all I'm saying. They're going to make the playoffs no matter what. They are just like Golden State is going to get to the playoffs. Then
So you're saying
unleash the beast
you're saying don't play Chris Paul? Is that
at
what you're
all.
saying?
At all.
That's ridiculous. You have
No,
to
it's
get
That means
not.
you don't make the playoffs, bro.
No, it
So-
doesn't.
no, he starts
Okay.
your second unit.
I digress.
So with pitchers, with baseball, you can't. Baseball is a different monster, man. It's 162 games.
Yeah.
Baseball players are very much creatures of habit. Relief
Yeah.
pitching actually is that harder on your arm than starting.
Yeah.
To be sure, because
I
you're
can see
throwing
that.
every other day.
Rivera.
The only way to rest him, which they won't do because it hasn't really worked, is go to a 6-man rotation and give an extra day to everybody between that. And he's at a point in his career, though, whether he throws 20 innings or 200 innings, his arm in what he's beat this year is probably gone. He might get it next year. He's 35, and the innings just take hold.
Yeah, well, and a couple years ago with the Dodgers, everybody was like, "Oh my God, they got Max Scherzer." I mean, he sucked in the playoffs. He was amazing in the regular season. By the time we got to the playoffs, that arm was toast.
It's kind of
But I
like
would
James Harden a little bit.
You won't if you put Scherzer in the bullpen, you won't get anything from him at that point.
I don't think.
I'm telling you, you won't. Maybe closing in the playoffs for one inning because of the adrenaline, but
Yeah.
for the regular season, he's gonna lose interest, and it would be a massive.
You think my plan is a fail?
Oh, horribly.
Well, hey,
The only time you
Spencer,
do that is if guys coming back from injury and you don't give them the time to stretch out in the minor leagues for the end of the
Exactly.
season. You kind of see that in September. But being a pitcher, I was a pitcher in college. I can tell you when you have a role, you're set into it. You maximize that because you know it. If you do something like that to him, you might as well just trade it for somebody else.
Yeah.
Now with Montgomery from St. Louis coming in there, Scherzer will be a 4, and that will be a solid 4 for that rotation.
Hey, so real quick, I know you said baseball is a completely different animal, and obviously it is 162 games or whatever. But Spencer, just going off kind of what you were saying with the Chris Paul thing, it's like I heard Coach Ty Lue for the Clippers say we got to get Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on the court regularly in the regular season and take the regular season more seriously rather than all this load management and not playing them in all these games.
Well, hey, Billy.
Get to the playoffs, they're not accumulated. They're not going to do well.
Not clicking.
Yeah.
Baseball's that way too.
Yeah.
Why do you think the Denver Nuggets? There's a perfect example. Nobody got hurt this year. Nobody got hurt. And guess what happens? We actually won a world championship. And you know what happened? Because we played them on the field. When it was time to sit them, we let them rest. But when they were playing, they were all playing together. It was perfect.
Yeah, no,
Hey,
it's
Billy, what are your thoughts? I want to get, then we'll finish. Well, actually, I'll make this my last question. So, Mike, what is your thoughts? We were talking about this last week of how amazingly good the AL East is. I mean, do you realize the Yankees are in last place and would be first place in the AL Central? It's insane.
I'm a Yankee fan, and it's I see it. So yeah,
how is it? How do you have? Look, I assume you're a lifelong baseball fan. Have you ever seen a division this good? I can never remember seeing a division that is this competitive, not top to bottom.
Well,
it's insane.
It's insane. I think I'll actually throw it this way though. For what's playing now, it's insane. But the quality top to bottom is not what it used to be 10, 20 years ago. The quality of baseball is bad. You have teams I don't want to say tanking, but you look at the roster of teams that are throwing out there, like Cleveland's payroll is extremely down. The Pirates is extremely down. Oakland I don't even know if Oakland's over 60 million. I mean, Cincinnati's playing well, which is great, but I think the 5th highest player is Ken Griffey Jr. still.
I'm thinking about freaking throwing a little something on the Cincinnati Reds to win it all.
Might as well. I think you passed that point. I think you have to do it in the beginning of the season.
That's true, but I bet there's still. I bet you could still get like 30-1 on that.
No.
Yes, you could. I'll look it up right now.
$5 down. See what happens.
But it's crazy to see that but then it also shows you the game. The game's not quality what it used to be, and it's all about streaks. You look at Tampa Bay at the end of May. Everybody talked about Tampa Bay breaking records, being the best team. And I said, I looked at their numbers and I looked at historically what guys had done. I even saw them in a game and I go, they're good. I'm not going to say they're not good, but they weren't impressive.
They weren't
and now all of a sudden they came back to earth. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that you have a division where every team is spent, or you have Baltimore that was primed for a breakout with the players they had. And the AL Central has always been bad. I mean, if you go over the last 5 years, they've been bad. So it just shows you that the parity isn't really doing that much for the game, because now you have the West and the East in the AL being so good. And even in the NL, the Central Division on both segments are not good baseball.
Do you think, and they've talked about this for years, at some point we need a salary cap, a hard salary cap in baseball?
I've had some family, my in-laws, and we've had some discussions about this.
Okay, and this is, I'm going to leave it like this, and because I've played fantasy football my entire life, and if you've ever been at an auction draft, okay, where, basically, I mean, it would be like playing fantasy football, and every dude in the league is a regular Joe Blow, and one guy's a millionaire.
Okay, so I'll put it this way. What sport do you think has the most parity out of all other major?
It's got to be hockey.
Yes. Did you know baseball and football are almost exactly the same? And NBA has less. So salary cap does not do anything to competitiveness. If anything, what it does is it hurt in baseball, especially the way the draft is set up. It hurts the teams willing to spend. Like you look at the Yankees. Being a Yankee fan, I know them the best.
Right.
If they go out and sign people, they lose draft picks. If they sign international players and go over the thing, they lose it the next year.
Right.
If you put a cap, they're one bad contract away from being stuck in mediocrity for a couple of years. Because you look at the Steelers, you look at the Penguins, for two other examples.
Yeah.
They're good every year, but they can't get to that championship level because of those caps. They have to pay to keep their players, but then they don't get good draft picks.
Yeah.
So salary cap really doesn't add to parity. But my issue with not having a cap is there should be a basement. I think it's ridiculous what Oakland does. Yeah. I think it's ridiculous.
We just had Bill Hammond on. We were talking about how the A's are just
Las Vegas A's.
It's ridiculous, dude.
I mean,
that's just a disappointment with the A's. I'm sorry for that part of California. Now, Oakland, man, I understand real estate, everything, but you're taking about history. You're taking love from your fans that loved them ever since they were itty bitty. Their parents were itty bitty. Their grandparents were itty bitty. You're taking out memories, history, Hall of Famers, historic legends in football, in NFL. What happens if they take away their basketball? Oh my gosh!
They already did.
That'll never. Yeah.
They already did. They went to.
They took it across the bay. Okay, now I'm going to finish with this, Billy. Have you heard about this? Is in regards to basketball and the giving load management. Have you heard that they're thinking about implementing? Basically, you cannot win any awards unless you have played in a minimum of 65 games.
I think that's great. It gives players like De'Aaron Fox or.
Because it's starting to piss fans off. And it has to do with the fans. Imagine if you're a family of four and freaking Golden State's coming to town tonight and you're in Denver. You went and spent $500 on tickets.
Yeah.
You're gonna spend another $200 on beers and sodas. Yeah. And then all of a sudden Steph Curry and all the stars are sitting.
My best friend came from Canada. His wife and him went to see the Lakers and the Suns, and it was in April, so they decided to rest Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and luckily the Lakers stars played, but he didn't even get to see Kevin Durant and those guys.
I'd be pissed. And at that point, you don't want to start biting the hand that feeds, essentially.
Kobe
said, yeah, but when they make all that money, come on. Yeah, man, we work a lot and we don't make even a dime towards what they make.
Yeah. Kobe said Kobe played every game he could play because he said it was for those people. It's not fair to them. He owes it to the fans to be there and play every game because the game he sits out.
Amen, brother.
That's what Allen Iverson said too when he would become. He's like that little kid who got the Christmas present to see me. I don't want to not show up for him, you know?
Yeah.
But like, to players like Jamal Murray, who's now seen as one of the best in the world, he's never made an all-star team. And so
he's always injured.
Yeah, but listen, if you're
He's always
healthy and
injured.
show up, if you're healthy and show up, you deserve that all-star slot. So I think it's a good rule. I think players who continuously show up, they'll get rewarded. So,
All right. Well,
I think
cool,
it's
guys. I think, Mike, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
I think we're going to call that a show. Yeah, well,
See,
like I said,
fellas.
Mike, come back on. Basically, especially as baseball heats up, I'm assuming baseball is your forte.
Yes, I mean I follow a lot of sports, college basketball. I'm involved in a lot, but yeah, baseball is my forte on a long shot.
Sweet.
Yeah,
All right.
that's good.
All right, guys. Thanks everybody for coming on. It was a great show. Having Bill Hammond on was a big deal. So, all right, guys.
Yeah.
Everybody, adios. We'll see everybody soon, and go sports ball teams.
All
See you,
right.
fellas.
Have a good